What's up guys, Kevin Cage here with another crypto update. This is an absolute must see if you hold Casper. We're going to dive into the Casper price charts, a variety of looks and fractals as we're looking for a bottoming structure. Be sure to like and subscribe so you can tune into future videos and let me know your thoughts down below. Also going to provide a Casper playlist of some videos to learn more about the project in the video description. Okay, first up, this is not financial advice. This is one man's subjective opinion throughout this bear market, seeing a variety of altcoins down 90%. So we are looking for bottoming structures. It's not guaranteed that we have hit bottom yet. That's dependent on Bitcoin. We could see Bitcoin doing a bull trap and sweeping the lows and going to 12 to 14K. We have an open gap at $9,800. I know the FTX situation has dried up a lot of liquidity, so anything is possible in crypto. I understand that. But being in this bear market for over a year, I'm looking for bottoming structures. We are in accumulation and eventually we will have a retracement. So for a variety of altcoins, you can see whether it's the Bitcoin bear market all the way down to these bottoms in 2015, or looking at Bitcoin up to 2018, a variety of altcoins actually follow these fractals to some degree. Ethereum followed early Bitcoin moves. And you can also make the argument that XRP is following a very similar Bitcoin fractal, and if we have time, I'll show you that at the end. So when I'm showing these charts, this is Bitcoin on the 3-day and this is Casper on the left-hand side. I'm not saying that it just explodes and creates an all-time high price. I would love nothing more, but I want to show you some key levels in different structures I'm seeing because I'm looking for a bottom for Casper. And the all-time low for Casper is about 2.2 cents. Now here's an example of Telcoin on the left-hand side and we have Casper on the right. And you can see from Tel's high to where we took off, this took over 1,000 days. Now Telcoin was an absolute animal, completely different tokenomics, different supply, and hitting that market perfectly towards the 2021 bull run. This did over a 1000x return. But even on the weekly, just using some basic TA and looking at resistance levels, we can see up there, we had that first wave coming back down, another wave towards different key resistance levels, along with challenging that top. So I did just want to point that out, and I want you to see some of these similarities. And you can see that XDC did over a 400x over the past couple years. And we can see from the high all the way up until we started taking off, that was over 700 days. Right now for Casper, we're getting close to 600. Now this type of fractal reminds me a lot of the Bitcoin bear market in 2015. So I'm looking at this setup, seeing this type of double bottom, crazy wicks to the downside, and then boom. And now this is just me playing around and looking for different types of confluence between Casper and Telcoin. And over a year ago, when I was sizing Casper up to Telcoin, I misread it and I was looking at it like this, thinking that we had that bottom, another low. And I was looking at this and I was like, man, with that Binance listing and different things coming, we could totally get that volume and have a nice retracement. And of course, that didn't happen. Started creating lower lows, Bitcoin falling from its all-time high price. But I'm still looking at the overall structure and hopefully you can see some of the similarities. Now what I like about this setup for Casper and Telcoin is right here on the 3-day time frame. We've been going for almost 600 days and look at the RSI, same type of move, overbought, coming back down. It's very similar to this crash and retracement coming up to this high where we also reached overbought before consolidating yet again and powering up for that next move. So overall, this bear market has not been fun by any means. I think this bear market is significantly harder than what I experienced in 2018, 2019, even the beginning of 2020. But we can see Tel took over 1,000 days and we're around the 600-day mark. And here's some other structures I'm looking at. We can see very similar moves. This is Bitcoin from the 2018 low, retracing, crashing again March 2020, getting that show on the road. If you drew a fib from the high to the low, it rejects the 50% or 618 back under the 236, and then once it breaks through that same level, it's game time. So this is another look as I'm potentially looking for a bottom. And once again, if you're bearish on crypto, you're going to be looking for the bearish outlooks. So we're all just looking through different subjective lenses, guys. There's no right way, there's just your way. And I do want to show you XRP really quick, and we'll go over the Casper charts more. So looking at different fractal setups, and we talked about this for over a year now, all the way back here, looking at this crashing structure. And I want to show you, for Bitcoin, from the high to the low, it actually reached the 618 to perfection, but really just kind of rejecting this main 50% and 382 retracement, coming back below the 236. And interestingly enough, I know XRP has done this move and it's been extended and dragged out, but what if we are rhyming with a similar type of fractal? Now the question is, have we bottomed? Do we have a crazy wick like we witnessed for March 2020? Because there are gaps below. There is a gap at 17 cents for XRP. Notice right at that level as well. So I can't rule it out. With liquidity drying up, I would not be shocked by any means for any types of crazy flash crashes in crypto before a big move up. But bottom line, this type of structure for me is very similar, and this is something I've been watching for a while. And I know everybody's going to be super bearish forever, but we can see from that high that we hit in April 2021, just under $2, we've been in this range for over 600 days. Sorry guys, but even in 2023, I believe we're going to have a nice move. And so looking at the same type of zone, notice Bitcoin after the Bitcoin halving, Once it broke through this level, challenging that same high, it was game time. So that is going to be the do or die moment for XRP. We have to battle through these retracements. If we do, and we break through some of these key levels, then we can start entertaining an all-time high. And also, for any comments down below, I know some people are concerned about Casper's tokenomics, and for certain fib levels, trying to be more conservative, I'm using lower swing highs to be even more conservative, because if I'm sizing Casper up to QNT, the token schedule was entirely different at that time. So again, it's never accurate if I size up Casper to Bitcoin or Casper to QNT or Casper to XRP, for example, but it's me just trying to gauge different levels, finding key levels, reading RSI, and finding as many confluences as possible. So if you guys have watched all of the Casper videos in the playlist, you're aware that the CEO of Casper said that Casper's network should be at full capacity in the next, 7 to 10 years. And a lot of people complain about Casper's tokenomics, but for a utility token that is legitimate, the company, the association based in Switzerland, has funds and are also doing series financing in the years ahead. So similar to XRP that has the funds to survive, similar to HBAR and HBAR Foundation that invested over $360 million. Casper, for a lower cap, has a bunch of funding as well. So if you're looking at Casper's supply and you understand the inflation rate, that 75% of that total supply is locked up, it is being staked, it is bonded, reducing the circulating supply dramatically. So for example, let's take the total supply for Casper right here at 11.3 billion. We're going to pull out our calculator. And what is that supply doubled? So for this supply to double, that would be approximately 22.6 or 22.7 billion tokens. For some perspective, HBAR has a max supply of 50 billion, so about 22.7. So if we take today's total supply of 11.3 and multiply it by 1.08 for the compounding 8% inflation rate, let's count how many years it takes to double and reach close to that 22.7 billion number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 22.68, very close to 22.69. So once again, for the total supply to even double, it will take 9 years. The total stake bonded is 75%. In reality, the circulating supply, the amount on exchanges actually being traded, is significantly less than this number. Now we know that IPWE, as tokenizing intellectual property, is aiming to have 1 million patents or NFTs launched on Casper by January. And then you have other bullish commentary from the CEO of Casper saying that Casper's network will be at full capacity in the next 7 to 10 years. I think that's a big deal. And I believe it was 7 to 10. If it was 5 to 7, please correct me down below. And I want to emphasize that even XRP, after the SEC came at them, it still did, during a nice retracement, a 10x return, technically an 11x return. So you can see XRP doing that retracement and crashing. That is a potential scenario that I see for Casper. And we'll talk about some levels that I'm seeing that we could reject and then have another buying opportunity, then get that show on the road. So macro guys, I think we're just rhyming some type of structure that Bitcoin did 2018, 2020, or all the way back to the 2015 bear market. So sizing this up, looking at Casper, this distribution, sell off, multiple lows, lower low, consolidating, and hopefully looking for that bottom soon. Looking at Bitcoin, very similar move, double top, crash, crash. And now we can see right there we have a low. What if that's comparable to this? And now we have this final low, similar to a double bottom at these wicks before we got that show on the road. A quick wick to the downside and start recovering. And there's a variety of altcoins. Remember, Bitcoin, we had Telcoin, XTC, a variety of alts explode and follow this very same fractal. And the same thing for DAG. Before this did a 70x in 2021, so you can see about January all the way up to the top. This did over a 70x return. So we're looking at different bottoming structures. Now looking at the 2018 Bitcoin, this is another scenario where a lot of the whales and big market participants can make a lot more money by riding this wave up, dumping on retail, letting everybody capitulate, and then begin accumulating down here. And this is something I'm more open to, so turning the lights on. I mapped out some key levels that I'm looking at, so we can see this type of crashing structure. Remember what I said about different token supply, so I didn't want to go like for like. If I plot a fib, you can see for Bitcoin, we did, the 618 rejection around that 50%, 382, right up there. I didn't want to do that for Casper per se, even here, because it would kind of change some of the looks. Now, is it possible that we come up to that 23 cent level and reject? Absolutely. And that's definitely an interesting level, even around that 22 cents around this double top. But for now, let's just look at it without the Fibonacci. So what I like is we have these wicks back here for Casper. I drew a trend line. Now this is super subjective because we don't have any data up here. And I'm looking at Bitcoin. 1, 2, 3. And it actually mapped all the way to its first run up multiple times. 4, 5, 6. Beautiful. And we can see a low, a higher low. Is it possible we get that retracement? Now I mapped out some key levels similar to what we did with Bitcoin here. Once we got up to that 8K zone, which would be equivalent to maybe 10 cents. Remember that Casper came up to this level right there at that wick, hitting this double bottom at 5.5 cents. The next level would be that double bottom at 7 cents. After that, we could see 10 cents. We have an open gap in liquidity that I believe closes eventually at 12 cents along with 18 cents. And the highest gap I've seen on the Casper price chart, big shout out to Mr. Level Up, is 43 cents. So we can look at these key levels of 10, 15, 22. It's my belief that if we follow this type of fractal, Casper will be rejecting one of these levels, whether it's 10, 15, or 22 cents, and then making its way back down. Probably back under 10 cents, if not even under 7 cents again. Similar to this move down here, and I'm not saying it's going to be a flash crash just like March 2020, as we shared XRPs was dragged out by hundreds of days. Now, what I like about that gap at 43 cents, and I'll show you a few things, along with this confluence, I'm just going to say 15 cents. There's so much I want to show you. So what we can see this gap up here at 43 cents, the top of this range. What's very interesting for Bitcoin, even coming up here, that was a key level as well that turned to support at a later date. And that's actually where the price is back down today. So do I think it's possible for Casper to reach that level? Yes. In the long term, provided Casper survives, continues to scale, and builds real world adoption, I believe we can reach several dollars. And that's just my opinion. And for anybody new, no, I'm not paid by Casper or Ripple to talk about Casper or XRP. I'm not paid by anybody to do that. If you want to ask them to pay me, that'd be awesome because I've done free marketing for them for a long time at this point. But hopefully some of these structures make sense. And remember that all of this is invalidated if the structure falls through. But I want you to remember this going forward for a retracement, remembering accumulation structures and looking at different bottoms for previous market cycles. History never repeats, but it often rhymes. So we're looking at confluence. Once again, gaps at 12 cents. We have gaps at 18 cents. And we have gaps at 43 cents. And I do want to point this out. So we have a gap right here on the Casper Bitcoin price chart. And notice it's right up at that order block. I mean, if we looked at, the weekly or monthly, anything in between. And what's fascinating about this is on the monthly time frame, this gap is exactly on that candle body right there. We can see that if you believe that Casper outperforms Bitcoin in the future, and if utility comes easily, we can see from current price to close that gap out, that would require a 389% move to the upside to close that gap. So now looking at Casper's price chart versus the dollar, just for fun, going from today's price up to 389%, which is technically a 4.89x, give or take, we're looking at about 14 to 15 cents. I want you to remember that level, that 14, 15 cents up here, okay? We looked at QNT and drew a Fibonacci retracement on this double top, or really the April-March high of this year to the low. We'll just drag to the bottom, get it as close as possible, and we can see to perfection reaching the 1618. Remember that XRP reached the 382 right there at this Fibonacci retracement, and then we had others that made it all the way up to like the 702, 786. We can see for Casper doing the same thing, looking at this March-April high to the low and mapping this out. If we were to follow what QNT did, reaching a 1618 Fibonacci extension, approaching the high back in December of 2021, what is that level? A very similar zone between that 14 to 15 cents and also a key level up here. Okay, now looking at Casper still in Bitcoin on the right and looking at this type of retracement, remember we were discussing using this high before the capitulation and comparing the 618 rejection for Bitcoin to Casper and what that level would be. And you can see that Bitcoin rejected anywhere from the 618 wick to perfection to about the 50%. But hypothetically, if we were to reject again and climb all the way up to the 618, that is 23 cents. Now I want to show something that's a bit more conservative. We're going to go to the next swing high and look at those levels. What is the 618? 15 cents. That 15-cent area is so important. I showed you the Casper Bitcoin chart with an open gap right at that level if you took a similar measured move. I just think yet again, it is fascinating to reject the 618 for Bitcoin. I know XRP rejected the 50%. Either way, for 2023, I think it's very interesting. We can see rejecting the 382 and crashing. You can also see Bitcoin in the past hitting that 382 level. You can also see before the 382, we rejected the 50%. What did Casper do before that? Before the 382, we rejected the 50%. It's like stair steps down. So this is another potential outcome that I'm looking at because we see this wick down here below the 236. If we measured it to Bitcoin, we can see the wick below the 236 as well. And right up to the 618, even comparing the QNT 1618 retracement, what was it? 15, 16 cents. So bottom line, we're going to have to see what happens. But overall, for 2023, I know everybody is super bearish. I think Casper is going to have a nice strong retracement. We're coming up on 600 days of doing absolutely nothing. We'll talk about more of the fundamentals in the next video. Please watch the playlist and understand that Casper has the new NFT standard and they're going to be highlighting this at Switzerland at Davos. There's a lot of people that think Casper is just another project. I think it's going to be one of the most legitimate projects in this space. Now, if we're comparing Casper to that Bitcoin retracement, remember that XRP, I believe, is similar to Bitcoin in March 2020. Finding its bottom, it could have already bottomed, and we have that big retracement. And as you can see, distribution, similar crashing structure, finding that bottom, it's going to rhyme. Consolidation, and eventually we wake up. Now, if we did measure this type of retracement, looking at that 702 area, it is possible we come up to 22 cents, maybe higher. We have the open gaps at higher levels. That would be 43 cents. And if the move followed like for like, that would be damn close to that gap. So not financial advice, but my personal expectation is for Casper to have a strong retracement in 2023. And as a side tangent, we'll do more HBAR videos. I am just trying to accumulate as much HBAR as possible while we're at these lows. Because the weekly RSI does not lie. I believe long term when we run up, oh baby. HBAR hasn't budged. QNT came all the way up here to the 1618. Zilliqa went even higher before a huge crash. XRP and Casper made it to the 382. HBAR has done nada. So the ball's in Bitcoin's court now. Let's hope that Bitcoin holds so that this structure is not invalidated. And I'll be making some videos over the coming days. I do want to do a Casper kind of deep dive again, just going over some recent news. We're going to do HBAR, maybe the price chart as well. But we need some price action. Right now, Bitcoin is just going sideways. We need a decision. Big thanks for all that like and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts down below, and much love. If you enjoyed this video, I'd greatly appreciate hitting the like button and subscribing. Let me know your thoughts down below. And as always, my link tree is linked right in the top of this YouTube video description with all links, crypto resources, and discounts. I'll catch you in the next one.